Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Take 3 podcast. It's Ryan McLellan here running the show, and I've got with me Chris Dohmen.
Hello.
And yeah, so today, you guys might be wondering, where's the Fan Schmoedown match? Well, thing is when you're running a fan league of just about anything, is people have lives outside of this. I don't understand why. I think that's stupid personally. I think this should be life. No, I'm just kidding. But seriously though, people have families and whatever. So we were gonna have a match for you guys, but some people got busy with the holidays coming up, Christmas and Thanksgiving. So it's not a big deal. We just wanted to get something out to you. So Chris and I were able to get together and we're gonna do a little Schmoedown heavy take 3 episode. We'll just talk about how we feel, how it's going, what's been going on lately, what might be new and upcoming, and stuff like that. So let's get to it. So Chris, how you been lately, man?
Very busy. Between writing questions, editing matches, and keeping the Facebook group in check has been it's been the best kind of stressful, because this is something obviously you and I are both very passionate about. This is something that when we first met, it's like this is something we both want to get involved in, and yeah, it's kind of a big responsibility, but it's a lot of fun.
It absolutely is. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I remember it wasn't that long ago. I was watching one of the Schmoes Know live shows back. It was early Phase 6, and someone messaged me on Twitter, and he's like, hey, who are you rooting for in the Schmoedown? And I answered back. I can't remember which match it was, but it was Harvey. He just messaged me kind of out of the blue, really. I think he had seen a tweet that I had made or something like that, and he was messaging me about it. And then he was just talking. We talked back and forth a couple times just about different things going on in the Schmoeville universe, whatever. And then one day he was like, yeah, I've been thinking about putting together a Fan Schmoedown League. I was like, oh, okay, this could be really interesting. Could be really difficult, which it proved to be true. It is difficult at times, but it was also very fun. And it took us a little while. It took the better part of the rest of 2016 to really get the ball rolling. But I'm excited because here we are now. I mean, we're how many matches deep?
Including the Ryan Stelling and RB3 match, we are now 4 matches in.
4 matches. Yeah. So, I mean, that's pretty crazy when you think about we've only really been doing this for a couple months now. We're already 4 matches in. I mean, I'm proud of that. I don't know about you. I'm sure you are too. But
dude, I'm stoked.
yeah. I mean, it really, Harvey had like guts. He had guts to say, hey, we're going to do this. And he did his best to work with, the people in Schmoes as best as he could. I mean, they're obviously busy. They run their own lives as well. So, the struggle is real when it comes to, trying to schedule this and make sure that we're not overstepping any bounds. But I'd say we've been pretty successful because we're getting decent amounts of views on these videos. I mean, the people that are in the fan page that you created, they all seem to be really enjoying that. So, and that's what I wanted to say next too, is like, man, good on you, Chris, because it was your idea. You kind of just took the torch that Harvey and I lit and you kind of ran with it. It was your idea to go ahead and start the page, the Fan Schmoedown League page, which I got to say, that was probably one of the best tools that we've had along the way, because it allowed us to more easily coordinate these matches. And so just run me through, like, when you decided to create that page, like, what was your vision for it and how does it compare to where we are now?
My vision for it was simply to build a page where a bunch of random Schmoevillians who maybe in the comment section, or maybe if they're like listening to a Schmoedown at home, they're like, oh, I know this stuff. Why, I should be allowed to a chance to do this. And well, now we are going to give those Schmoevillians that chance to really prove themselves in a Schmoedown like event. Is it the real thing? Do we have the Wheel of Death? No,
No.
but it's the best that we can do with people from literally all over the world so far lined up for this league. I mean, that to me is still insane.
It's a big accomplishment.
We live in a day and age where everyone's just constantly shitting on the internet as this awful thing, but I couldn't disagree more because look at what we've accomplished so far. We have brought people from different continents, from different religions, from different, ideologies, and we've found common ground of which to just hang out, basically.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, it's an incredible thing. I mean, just the way that we can't take all the credit, obviously, because Mark and Christian schmoes. It's such an interesting thing in this day and age that a YouTube channel a weekly show can really bring people together the way that it has. But it's true. I mean, if you had told me that, oh yeah, there's going to be, these movie type, what do I want to say? Like, sure, maybe Collider Movie Talk is the sports center, but if they're the sports center, then I guess like Christian likes to make the comparison that schmoes know is always that Howard Stern of movies, really.
Yeah.
And if you told me that that was just going to be a thing on YouTube that I would really love and enjoy, and then like, thousands, tens of thousands of other people would really love and enjoy it and all come together in a big community, if you told me that would ever be a thing on the internet, I probably would have laughed and kind of scratched my head and said, yeah, I don't really ever think that can be a thing, just because YouTube never seemed, it always just seemed like a place to just put like funny little skits and, pratfalls and stuff like that, crazy stuff happening like double rainbows and kitty cats and stuff like that. But honestly, YouTube has become way more than that now. It's a serious space. I mean, sure, they have YouTube Red and that's kind of its own thing, but all these other shows, like these daily and weekly shows, it really brings it to the next level. So the fact that we have that base to build on, and now we can bring people together and really in this fan space, now we can compete amongst each other. It just brings it kind of elevates it, because everyone wants to be a part of the action. Everyone wants to see how they would do in movie trivia. Now there's a chance. And speaking of there being a chance, that's part of what makes it so crazy, is trying to, originally, Harvey had said, hey, we're just going to do one a month. And, I totally understand that, one a month or one every 2 weeks, that allows for some breathing room and scheduling and stuff like that. But what we quickly found out is so many people wanted to compete that we would have to do this every week if it were to be anything realistic. And I think all three of us kind of sat there for a second and said, whoa, we have to do this every week.
No, and that's totally true. But the question doesn't come down to is, can we? Because I would say for the most part we could. It's a matter of if we really want to, and because I am honestly as dedicated as I am. I honestly don't have a problem with it because, let's face facts, I don't have a social life whatsoever. So,
Nah.
that's why for me it's like, it is worth it.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's so cool just to see the ball get rolling, and we've had some stumbles along the way, just with like the inner workings of the game, because you think something in your head when you plan out how the game's to be played, and then once you actually have people compete, you run into issues here and there that you're like, oh, well, when you practice it in a room where everyone's in the same room together, it may not be so difficult. But once you add in the internet and distance and different ways of thinking, it really changes how the game is played. But we'll get to that in a little bit here. But first, I wanted to ask, what have been some of your favorite matches or moments that we've had thus far? I know we've only had 4, but what kind of inspires you and really gets you excited for what comes next?
What definitely inspires me is just like going back to the very first match, the RB3 Snelling match. It was just the fact that Harvey, who at the time was just this kid from London, this 14-year-old kid from London, who got hold of 2 people who the 3 of us really admire, and just even got in the fight, and then he was asking some very legit questions. I'm like, oh shit! Like I knew these questions, but they still were tough.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, he put a lot of time into this.
Yeah, it felt really legit.
It did, and that's why what what impressed me about that was the simple fact that he managed to pull us off. All right, and on a completely somewhat unrelated note, we're now gonna hear from the Dutch movie guy, Kees the Assassin Cornelisse.
He's one of the upcoming competitors, and we just wanted to get him on here, kind of get his perspective on, as somebody who hasn't competed yet, and somebody who's listened to the matches that have been released so far, just kind of see how he feels, where he sees this, where he sees this thing as it could go.
Cut you off for a second. We're putting him in right now.
All right, so now we have Kees with us, and before we move too much further, that's a thing I actually wanna bring up, because there's been some heat thrown. It always comes down to pronunciation of names. I've had my name pronounced more times than I can count. McLellan, McLennan, McLean, whatever, McLovin, what have you. And I know Chris's name has been mispronounced so many times. Dogman, Dohmen, what have you. I'm sure
Dohem.
Dohem, right, exactly. Like, I don't know how that happens. And then Kees Cornelisse is your last name?
Cornelisse.
So that's a mouthful.
The thing is, I am Dutch, so I, of course, have a hard to pronounce name. You guys are American. How can you fuck up an American name when we are all talking English?
Yeah, but my last name's Scottish. I don't know what Chris is. What's your last name?
German.
Right. So no American is actually truly American. It's a melting pot of other things. So you got some German, you got some Scottish, and we got full-blooded Dutch. So my first question then, Kees, is you've been here since the beginning of when Chris started the fan page. I guess what was it that made you join the league and made you want to compete?
Well, it began in Schmoeville when at one point somebody posted something about who would you take on in a Schmoedown match. And I called out Matt Kearns because I know that he knows his Star Wars. I know that I know my Star Wars. And I was like, well, what if we do a Star Wars match? So then at one point it appeared that we could do these Fan Schmoedown matches. And at that point, we just confirmed that. And we were like, okay, let's do this match because we want to do that. So that's basically how that came to be.
Cool. So much in the same way that Schmoes Know brings everyone together, so does Star Wars, aka greatest film trilogy of all time. There with the originals. I know.
Amen.
I know. We got some people that defend the prequels. That's fine. You're entitled to your own crappy opinion. Your own crappy opinion is all yours. What's your favorite movie then?
Empire Strikes Back, of course.
Empire Strikes Back. Awesome.
As I was saying,
yeah,
that's why Kees and I get along.
That is the best one. I think Empire. I mean, we'll deviate here for a second from the Fan Schmoedown here just to talk about some Star Wars, because Star Wars is probably the most important thing of all time. Empire Strikes Back, it's the best because it has so much depth to it. A New Hope is great because it really gets the ball rolling, and it was so new and so different than anything I had ever seen when I first saw it as a kid. Obviously, I didn't see it anywhere near to when it originally came out, but my dad introduced it to me. We watched it on a VHS tape that I actually still have. And then I saw Empire Strikes Back, and it changed my entire world. That was when I knew that movies were some of my favorite things of all time. It just blew my mind. The reveal that, yes, Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's father. And how can that be? How can someone that's so inherently good have such a horrible person for their father? And like, how did that even come to be? And then as a kid, I always loved Return of the Jedi just because it was kind of a crazy, fun time, and it had Jabba and it had the Ewoks, and Endor was so cool to me. And I loved the speeder racing, whatever, not really racing, but chase, I guess is the word. But I think that as an adult, we all, the three of us here, really come to appreciate Empire Strikes Back for the depth that it brings. So I'm going to throw it to Kees first. Kind of just walk me through why Empire means so much to you.
Empire is, first of all, the movie that gave Darth Vader a character. Like, in Star Wars, he was just this cool-looking villain, but we didn't get a whole lot except for his stuff with Obi-Wan. But then when he revealed to be Luke's father, it changed the game. I know that I loved it from the moment that I saw it, and then after that, I saw all the Star Wars movies, so yeah.
Nice. And Chris, run me through just like what is your favorite part of Empire and why do you love it so much?
I have to say it's the whole film, because what Irvin Kershner and Lawrence Kasdan did so beautifully was tell three separate stories that intertwine so beautifully. You have Luke becoming more powerful in the Force. You have Han and Leia in their, borderline rom-com romance that becomes so deep by the time she says, I love you, and he says, I know. And then you have Darth Vader, who is on the revenge tale from hell. These could all be separate films, but the fact they're told so well in one story, that's why it's my favorite.
True. It carried, obviously, George Lucas's huge idea and world through each of the three, but the fact that each time we got a tonal shift, it really kept it fresh and new. And like you said, each could be its own contained story because you have the crawl to give you context before you start watching. But, Case, you have a match coming up. It's going to be a Star Wars match. You seem to be pretty damn knowledgeable about Star Wars, but how confident would you say you are walking into this match?
I know what Matt knows about his Star Wars, and that is movies and TV shows. I saw the TV shows just like him multiple times. I saw the movies hundreds of times, so I know that. And then he also claimed something about the DVDs. At one point, I got a little bit bored with those because there's only so much you can know. So then I started to read with a lot of comics and books. There is where I have my advantage to Matt.
So you're trying to say you're unbeatable?
I cannot imagine me losing the match.
Really? Okay. So you've put in the time and the effort. You've put in the research.
Yeah.
I honestly, I can't have an opinion as to who I think will win just because it's hard because I don't necessarily, I've never seen you compete, so it's hard to say, but you guys both know your Star Wars. Like that for sure I know, just from the videos I've seen you make and when I've heard you guys talk about it. So I'm saying I cannot wait to host this match. I know it's going to be Chris and I think we're both pretty pumped. Am I right?
To put it simply, I liken myself to Emperor Vitiate from the old legends. And you two are the quite sad Reverend and Malik who think you could delve into the dark side of the Force long enough to have a chance against me. But here's the thing. I'm thousands of years old. So I'm just gonna pit you two against each other, and we're gonna see who can come out on top.
Ooh, so there it is, foreshadowing.
Let me just say something right now. When I win against Currents, because it's not an if, it's when. It's just like after that match I've won, I'm taking on you for another Star Wars match.
Ooh.
Oof. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Take 3 exclusive. Dohmen versus Cornelisse. I don't know. We shall see. I'm the impartial party because I'm watching from afar, just watching you guys set fire to each other. Honestly, at this point, I don't see any of you even worthy to challenge. I don't think any of you are even worthy. So at this point, I'm just going to watch you guys duke it out between the 3 of you. Whomever wins, it doesn't really matter. We'll see what happens. But I've already lost once to Chris, and I can tell you it's not going to happen again. So I'm just going to leave it at that. But that doesn't even mean that Chris is going to come out on top. We have no idea. It could be anyone. So Schmoedown Fan League has already, in just 2 short months, has come so far. It's been crazy how much Schmoeville has really embraced it and wanted to be a part of it. We have matches booked out to summer of 2017. It's crazy how everybody has just wanted to, really dig in and become a part of it. We get new members every day and people setting up matches, all the time. So one of the things that, like I said earlier, we've kind of struggled with, I think is fair to say, is just how the matches will be worked, because obviously everybody has their own idea of maybe how it should work, and all ideas are valid, but ultimately it's difficult because we have to find something that, one, is simple and easy to learn so that everyone can play. Two, something that plays well when we're not all in the same room, i.e. we can't bring a wheel into it because we're all, countries away or states away and what have you, different time zones, all sorts of crazy stuff involved. And three, it has to be something that really works well with people who have never competed before and people who are at all different strength levels, because none of us have ever competed. None of us have competed against each other, and we have so many competitors. So there's a lot more that goes into building these matches or building these rules than meets the eye. But here we have, I think we finally reached it. We've been talking about these new rules for a little while now. Do you think that these are the rules that we're going to stick with for a good long while?
One can only hope. What I'm assuming is probably going to happen is we'll go forward this way for a while, and we'll keep experimenting. Like maybe there'll be a couple things that maybe we can just tweak just a touch, or maybe just like tweak a part of a rule. But I think we have a pretty solid formula here going forward.
Good. Yeah, that's my hope too, because like I said, we've messed around with a lot of different ideas, and we've really gone back and forth and had many very long group chat conversations, and I think we finally got it. So with all that being said, I'm going to go over these new rules real quick, and then maybe we'll have a little conversation about them. But here's how the next Schmoedown match is going to look. So first, for our first round, it's going to be 4 questions going back and forth in sets of 2s from various categories. And then for the second round, that's going to be our category round, where you'll have a number, you choose a number between 1 and 6 for your category of 4 questions, and you'll get that. And then our third round will still be the same IMDb sponsored round, where you'll have your year and your genre and your keywords, and you'll have to guess the film based off of that. And then the fourth and final round that I'm really going to have Chris kind of explain nice and in depth.
I would be more than happy to. In this league, of course, there's always the possibility of a knockout. There might be matches where we don't even get to round 3 because the point differential is just so drastic, it might not even happen. However, if we get a real barn burner of a match that it really comes down to maybe a 1 to 2 point difference, we will go to round 4, aka pop quiz, where we'll take a certain category of a film and give 5 questions. To be fair, whoever is behind will get the chance to go first. If they get the answer correct, then they get the next question. If they get it incorrect, then it goes to the opponent. And if they can put enough distance between themselves and the person behind to officially win the match, it's over.
So basically, the reasoning behind this is we realized what we can't do is any sort of buzzing in with your name, for the simple fact that the internet is not instantaneous as much as it might feel like it is. And we were getting an issue where it would sound like someone said their name first, but really, in all actuality, they said it second. So that caused a huge issue with just who was actually winning these games. And it always seemed to come down to the last question as far as who was buzzing in. So that caused an issue. So we kind of went back to the drawing board, saw what we could possibly rework. And that was when Chris came up with the idea where we can still throw it back and forth in a speedy manner, but this way it didn't require anyone to have to buzz in, and we didn't have to worry about any sort of sound delay. So, Kees, you hear how this game is now going to be played. Does it change how you see the outcome of your match going? Does it give you more confidence, or does it maybe perhaps make you think that you might want to practice a little?
Well, this is a lot more like the actual Schmoedown and a lot more what I actually wanted, because I was one of the few who really had an issue with that first round being one category, especially because the first match had horror, and if the first round of questions would be horror, I would have no answer right because I don't know anything about horror. So having multiple categories that you either can be good or bad at, that's a lot more even than one category. Because if I would like get Star Wars and I would be up against someone who doesn't know Star Wars, then I would have an unfair advantage, I kind of think. And that's the same with horror. Like you would have an advantage at one point, so that's a little unfair. And now it's a lot more fair. So that's really good. And yeah, I actually like how we are doing round 2 as well with categories. That's also very much like the Schmoedown. So yeah, I like it.
Much like the original incarnation from 2014.
True, very true.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's. I'm glad that you're liking it. Yeah, it was definitely. We knew that something had to change. It was just a matter of how. And so that was with the first round. The whole idea was that we wanted there to be an element of, hey, maybe at some point you end up with a category that you're not good at. But I think what'll be good about the second round is, hey, you might end up with a category you're not great at, but it's going to be because you chose that number. So you have nobody to blame but yourself. It's really just luck of the draw, much in the same way that the wheel is really just the luck of your spin. So there's no...
So yeah, just ask Wolves of Steel.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we all know how Clark Wolf feels about that fucking wheel. So yeah, so it's going to be the same. So at least now in the first round, it kind of evens the playing field. It lets both competitors kind of ease into their match and really warm themselves up. And then second round, who knows what questions you're going to end up with. But it is only 4, so it could be a make or break scenario, but at least you have a fighting chance. And then with the IMDb round, that one, I really like how inventive that one is. That's what I appreciate about it. I know that, I've never really seen too many trivia games played in that manner. And then with the speed round at the end or the pop quiz round, what I like about that is it gives you a chance to totally just end. It almost reminds me of catching the snitch in Quidditch, where it's like once you reach a certain point, if you're dominant enough, you can just end the game on your terms. And that is what I think is so cool and special about the way we're running this Fan Schmoedown is if you're a good enough of a competitor, you can end the match on your terms at any time with a knockout or just with answering your 2 questions in a row correctly. And then that's it. You've won the game and you're moving on to a victory. So I like where this is going, and I guess we'll close it out here. But first, before we go, I'm just gonna ask Kees if he has any final thoughts.
No, I agree with what you said. Like I like the third round, the IMDb round is good. The final round is good. So yeah, I have no issues right now. So as of right now with these rules, I'm looking forward to my match against Macy next week.
Awesome. Yeah, me too. It's going to be crazy. I can't wait to see it. So, and then we got Chris. Chris, any final thoughts for the people out there?
Just know that, guys, I mean, obviously, we appreciate any and all constructive feedback. That's why we took the time to really start working on a new format. That's why we took the time to go back to the drawing board and say, what can we do to improve this in a way that satisfies us but doesn't look like we're just pandering to the league as a whole. And I think we're really onto something special here, and one other announcement I do want to make is going forward after this match, we have a full-time question writer, and you've been listening to his voice this whole time. He is the Dutch movie guy, Kees Cornelisse himself.
Heck yeah. Yeah, we definitely needed some help there with the question writing. That was what was becoming difficult, is because if you were competing, you couldn't write any questions because you didn't know what you would necessarily end up with. And obviously you can't write your own questions. That's for very obvious reasons. So it'll be good to have someone who we can kind of get in to help us write these questions, so that if one of us is competing, Harvey, Chris, or I, we have someone else that's able to help us out. So that'll be great having more people on the team. And so that's pretty much it. I'm just going to go ahead and throw it around the table so everyone can say where they can be found on the interwebs. Case, where can the people find you?
I'm on Twitter at Dutch Movie Guy, and I'm on Facebook and all the groups like Schmoeville and Jedi Council and whatnot. So you can find me there.
He's there. And Chris, where can people find you and where can they listen to your music?
You can just find me on Twitter at my band, Last Shot at Redemption, at LSAR Band MN. You can also find me on Reverb Nation at reverbnation.com/Last Shot at Redemption.
All right. And I'm on Twitter. I'm out there at Clan McLellan. That's Clan McLellan. And from all three of us, that's it. Have a great day.
Take care.